May the force be with you.
And
And
also
also with you.
Hey, y'all. It's good to see everyone. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone is good. Give me a thumbs up if you're doing well. Yay. Okay, couple of housekeeping things. Can y'all see my desktop at the moment?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. First off, Jagger, thank you for the reminder last class that I needed to put up the assignment for the paper. I did that. I hope that y'all saw that. Are you with me so far?
We can see it on Canvas.
Yay. The second thing is, and this is the only other housekeeping thing that I have. So in terms of possibly meeting back in person, a couple of y'all asked me about that. And I think I even said last class, don't worry, I'm gonna give you lots of advance warning before we do that. But I wanted to let you know kind of what I'm thinking. So next week is spring break, and I am thinking about possibly going back in person. I say back, it's not back, it's going in person. Not the week after spring break, but the week after spring break. Yeah.
I was gonna say, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Abbott put in, he lifted the mask ban starting the 17th, or the 10th. So I didn't know if you were gonna bring us back to school.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that, Michael. I don't, it's not clear to me how that affects my decision in this, actually. But yeah, thanks for saying that. So as of right now, I'm planning on looking at the week after spring break, to that Monday, to possibly meet in person again. Michael's point, though, does raise an interesting thing for me. Raise your hand if you were in class today at UT Tyler. Did y'all wear a mask? Okay. Are you required to wear a mask? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to take it 1 week at a time, and next week is spring break. The following week after spring break, I'm going to be looking at numbers. You know, I'm a priest, and so I watch numbers like hospitalizations in Tyler and new cases and all that kind of stuff. And right now, the numbers are really good, which is great. And that's because the vaccine is getting out. Roughly half of the 1B people, I think that mainly means elderly folks. About half of them in Smith County are vaccinated, and so things are looking good. So I'm hoping that we can be together in class for 4 weeks before the last day of class. That's my goal. That's what I'm shooting for. But I just wanted to let you know, and we will play it by ear. Okay. Any comments or questions or thoughts about that, you guys? I just thought of another thing that I should say, and that is I did take attendance, not last class, but the class before that, AKA last Wednesday, a week ago. I have not put that up on Canvas yet, but I will get to that very soon. Okay. And I can imagine, like, let's say that we do meet back in person the week after spring break. I can imagine that I'll take attendance once the week after spring break, and then maybe two or three times when we're meeting in person. Okay. And so that'll be like 4 or 5 times. And it's upon that basis that I will calculate the attendance portion of your class participation grade. All right. Okay,
So
cool. Go ahead.
So whenever you go, if we go back in person, will you do like an online portion too, or is it strictly in person?
Good question. I mean, the answer is I don't know. I know that there's one person. there's one student of mine in this class who, for reasons that I cannot go into right now, is not able to attend the class, and I told her that I would take care of her. And so I don't know. I don't know yet, but I'm not, yeah, I don't know. So good question. Thanks for asking. I don't think that I'm required to Zoom, and I mean, I know I'm not. This is not an online class. But again, there's that one person, and so I don't really know yet. Okay. I'm making it up as I go, one day at a time, you know? Okay, y'all, it's good to see everyone. Why don't we continue with Aristotle? This is our 4th out of 4 lectures on Aristotle. There's a lot more, a ton more that I could say about Aristotle than what I'm going to say today. But we need to move to Descartes, right? We're going to transition to Descartes. In fact, why don't we pull up the reading schedule real quick? After spring break, we're going to transition to Descartes. And then after that, we've got Nietzsche, and that's it. Okay, so we need to get moving. I don't know why this isn't coming up. Ooh, I should not have done that. Okay. I don't know why that's not coming up. Can y'all hear me right now? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up this way. Here's the reading schedule. You can see that actually we're doing pretty good actually. Because we're going to finish Aristotle today, and it is clear to you by now that I don't lecture from the book. I did that more with Plato than I do with Aristotle, but we're going to move past Aristotle after today. So next time, y'all start reading Descartes. Okay, we've got Descartes and Nietzsche, and then that's it. Okay. All right. So now, for some reason, I'm not able to pull up stuff on Canvas at the moment. We're going to continue today with Aristotle's metaphysical spectrum. If I can get it up. There we go.
With that, can I ask a question? More of like a recalling information.
Of course. I already got one question from a great student this a few minutes ago about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you could, I guess just re-say it. What was the difference in the definition of Plato's becoming and Aristotle's prime matter, if they're both based off the realm of flux?
Jagger, that's a great question, and these are like y'all like these are difficult ideas. Like you probably have noticed by now that philosophy is not like mathematics, right? It's philosophy's very difficult. And I could talk about that for a long time. This isn't easily digestible information. This is stuff that you kind of have to labor over. And then the fact that I'm giving it to you in a simplified version makes it even more difficult in some ways for you. But Jagger, what I would say is, when I say that Plato's realm of becoming is like Aristotle's blah, 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 don't think in terms of prime matter so much. A better thing to, although you're on the right track, a better thing is to think of Aristotle's, does anyone remember? I actually forgot to write it on this picture. It's Aristotle's potential being or potency. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started that at the very end. I just wanted to get like
does that make sense?
It.
Does that make sense, Jagger?
Yeah. Like I said, I remember we started that at the very end of class last time. I just couldn't remember.
Actually, what I want to do is take that question and use it as a jumping off point. I'm going to make some quick notes real quick. Yeah, actually, y'all listen, here's what we're going to do. First off, I'm going to sort of piggyback on Jagger's question just now, the answer to which was potential being or potency. Okay. Now, okay, that's what we're going to do first. I'm also, that's what we're going to do first. I'm also going to review the whole thing, but we're going to end up right here. Can y'all see what I'm drawing a picture around? We're going to end up right here. That's how I'm going to end today's lecture, with talking about this stuff. Now, what is this? Well, you can probably tell it's kind of sort of the opposite of this stuff, right? Now, I'm going to ask you what this stuff is, but before I do that, prime matter is kind of like the opposite of pure form, right? And in the same way, this stuff is kind of opposite of this stuff, okay? Now, what is this stuff? Who can tell me?
The 4 elements, right?
That's right, the 4 elements, earth, wind, fire, water. Who's the pre-Socratic philosopher who invented those? I'm going to put it in the
Kinetic or
pre-Socratic. Aristotle believes in them, but he got them from someone else. Who did he get them from?
was it It starts with an I, maybe?
An E, good.
An E.
Empedocles.
No.
Ah. Class, let me hear you say Empedocles.
Empedocles.
Good. Yeah, Empedocles is the very first person. Okay, so check it out. Sadly, we haven't had time in this class to talk about a dude named Thales. In some ways, Thales is the very first pre-Socratic philosopher that ever lived. And he said something really crazy. He said, all is... Now, what did Heraclitus say that all is? All is what?
Flux.
Flux. Parmenides comes along and he says, that's bullshit. What I think is that all is...
Being.
So Empedocles says flux, Parmenides says being. This dude named Thales, the very first pre-Socratic philosopher ever, said that all is water.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I actually read a little about it.
So Thales said that all is water. Another dude comes along and says, no, everything is air. Now, what they were really saying is that water or air is the explanatory principle that can explain everything else. We don't have time to go into that right now. But you've got one dude that said everything is water. You have another dude that said, no, everything is wind. Empedocles comes along and he's like, you're all right. There's 4 elements, earth, wind, fire, water. Now, listen, do modern scientists, let me ask you a question. Should modern scientists think that Empedocles was stupid for believing in 4 elements? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up if you say, yeah, modern scientists should think that Empedocles was stupid for believing in 4 elements. And give me a thumbs down if you say, no, they shouldn't. I see a lot of thumbs down. That's right. We believe in 130 something elements. They believed in 4. It's really the same thing, right? Good. Okay, now, so y'all, the 4 elements over here, the ones that Empedocles believed in, they are very, very close to what?
Prime matter.
Prime matter. That's right. Why do we say that they're very, very close to prime matter? I'll tell you why. Because they've got very little form, right? I mean, let me ask you a question. Which has more form? A sandcastle or just sand?
Sandcastle.
That's right. Now, what Aristotle would say is that sand, let's just call it dirt, has a little bit of form, not as much as a sandcastle, but it's got a little bit of form. It's not prime matter. If it was prime matter, we couldn't really even talk about it. Like we wouldn't be able to identify it. We wouldn't be able to say, we wouldn't be able to point to it and say that's sand or dirt or fire. No, no, no. Prime matter is such a blooming, buzzing confusion that you can't even distinguish fire from air or water. Are you with me? So it's not prime matter, but it's almost prime matter. It's kind of like 80% matter and only what percent of form?
20.
Yeah, something like that. Now, y'all, in that regard, it's almost the opposite of this stuff over here. Now, for now, I'm going to say that this stuff over here is called number/shape or shape/number. Are you with me? But I'm going to come back to that later. And what I want to do now is kind of piggyback on Jagger's question, because remember, what I said to Jagger was Plato's realm of becoming, it's not exactly like prime matter. It's more like what?
Potential something?
Yeah, potential being, right? So remember, Parmenides was like whack a non-being. I don't know if y'all can see me. Whack a non-being, right? Parmenides was saying, don't even talk to me about non-being. It's not real. The only thing that's real is being. It's kind of like Parmenides thinks that reality is an on-off switch, but it's always on. Okay? By the way, that's kind of an interesting way to think about God. But for now, like in other words, God is always on. Anyway, for now, I'm gonna back up. Okay, look, Plato's realm of becoming. What Plato's doing is he's looking at Parmenides and saying, Parmenides, you're a brilliant thinker, but if I'm gonna agree with you, I have to say that this cup is not real. I have to say that that magnolia tree outside of my window is not real. And Parmenides, as much as I like you and agree with you, there's got to be a better way. Like, that's BS to say that none of this stuff is real. My wife is not real. My daughters are not real. My body is not real. My dog, Janie, who's a schnorky, is not real. Like, Plato's like, there's got to be a better way. And so what he does is he says, I'm going to have this realm of becoming, which is kind of like a mixture of Parmenidean being and non-being. Now, y'all, remember the doctrine of simplicity, how Parmenides comes along and he says, being is not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. Remember? It's not spatially extended. It doesn't consist of parts and wholes. It has no multiplicity or diversity. And then the other thing that I can't remember right now. But remember, all of those things that are denied or negated, those are all versions of what? Finite being. Finite being. So multiplicity or diversity is finite being. Why? It's because it admits of non-being. That's fancy talk for it involves non-being. Why? Because the mechanical pencil is not the pen. Did you hear that? Not. It involves not being. So Plato's like, here's what I'm going to do. There is being. Yeah, there is being. Remember, Plato points up in the painting. There is being. It's called the forms. It's up there. Does it change? Do the forms ever change? No, they don't. Just like God doesn't change for someone like Aristotle or for your Baptist Sunday school teacher when you were growing up in East Texas. The forms do not change. That's the realm of being. But Plato's also like, oh, there's also like an oak tree that grows. It starts out as an acorn, but does it remain an acorn? No, no, no. it becomes a little stalk and it shoots up out of the soil. And then you look at it a month later and it's a little bit bigger. And then a year later, it's like a little bitty tree. And 5 years later, it's 10 feet tall and now it has branches. And this is an organism that grows. And after 50 or 100 years, it gets as big as it's going to get. And at that point, it's fully flourishing. It's fully flourishing. It's fully actualized. You need to write that down. Fully actualized. And then it begins to what? It begins to decay and to die. Aristotle's like, that oak tree's real, but it's changing. So I'm going to have to say that it's a mixture of being and non-being. Okay? Plato, did I say Aristotle? I meant Plato. Plato's like, I'm just going to say that there's a realm of becoming and it's both being and non-being. Now, y'all, are you with me so far? Raise your hand if you're confused. That's Plato's realm of becoming, okay? Now, I told Jagger that the best, that Aristotle's equivalent of that is potential being, and that's what I want to explain right now. But before I do that, what is the, so, and whenever I drew this little picture, I should have written the word potential being right here, or maybe down here. And I should have written the word actuality right here. Remember a minute ago, I told you to write down the word actuality. What did I say actuality was? It was the oak tree that was fully alive, right? The oak tree, this is an analogy. I'm giving you an analogy. The oak tree with big branches and strong limbs and roots that go down into the earth and leaves that do photosynthesis. When a tree is fully alive and fully mature and fully actualized, it's doing all the things that trees are supposed to do. It's a mature tree. It's a perfect tree. It's a tree that's living into its purpose. The Greek word for purpose is the word telos. I'm going to put that in the chat. The word telos. T-E-L-O-S. That means purpose. Okay? And when the tree has big branches, is doing photosynthesis, deep roots, all of that, it's fully mature, it's living into its purpose, and it's fully actualized. Okay? So what I should have done whenever I drew Aristotle's metaphysical spectrum, I should have drawn an acorn over here. Are you with me? Because this side of the spectrum is talking about potential being. See, an acorn is 100% potential. But an oak tree, which I should have drawn over here, an oak tree is fully actualized. Are you with me? An oak tree is not, is an oak tree a potential acorn? No. But is an acorn a potential oak tree? Yes. See, the acorn is potential, but the oak tree is actualized. Are you with me?
So the oak tree is closer to form.
Yes. Now remember, this is an analogy, but yes, the oak tree is on the side of the spectrum that also includes form. Yes. Because remember how Aristotle thinks about God. Is God perfect? Yeah. So God is fully actualized. See, and is an acorn perfect? No. Why not? Because it hasn't become an oak tree yet. That's why.
So as we gain percentages in form, does that mean less change? Because if
Yes. Because see, an acorn, think about a baby growing up to be a human being.
So
Okay?
would adults be actualized or whatever because they really don't do much else once they're like grown, sort of.
That's not why, Sarah. So I would say this, if you were to ask that question to Aristotle, what Aristotle would say is, yes, an adult is fully actualized if, what he would say is if they are virtuous, if they have character. And if you were to ask a Christian that, someone like Thomas Aquinas or St. Augustine or C.S. Lewis, they would say, yes, an adult is fully actualized if they are, they would also,
Christian.
they would
Well,
also use the language of Aristotle. They would also say if they're virtuous, but they might also say if they're holy.
But I would say that never happens. Like
Okay,
the
good.
purpose of pure form is that it can't be reached. So it's always a goal. No.
Good. And Sergio, we don't have time to get into a digression
Yeah.
in that, but I like what you're saying. Suffice to say that, look, I'll just talk about the Catholic Church right now. So the Catholic Church believes in saints. And so they might talk about Saint Francis or Saint Augustine or Saint Augustine's mother, Saint Monica or Saint Bernard. Okay. And people like that actually do say, now it's kind of, we don't have time to go into it. Even the Catholic Church says that they're still sinners. Yeah, they're still sinners, but they have achieved their end, their perfection, their full potential. And so in that way, they are like the oak tree. And let me give you a quote. I'm going to give you a quote right now to try to keep it super simple. I'm going to give you a quote. This is from a guy named Saint Irenaeus. Saint Irenaeus said this: the glory of God is the human being fully alive. The glory of God is the human being fully alive. Let me give you another one. There was a group, and y'all, what I'm trying to do right now is to get you to wrap your mind around these two extremes of, I'm going to say, potentiality or potential being, like an acorn on the one hand, versus the other extreme of the spectrum, which is the oak tree, or what I'm going to call full actuality.
Yes.
So the
I'm sorry.
opposite of potential is actuality. I'm just trying to help you wrap your mind around these things. And so you could talk about acorns as potential oak trees. You could talk about little babies as potential humans. And so Saint Irenaeus says the glory of God is the human being fully alive. And that's kind of like the oak tree. In Saint Irenaeus's mind, when a human being is fully alive, we are doing the stuff that God made human beings to do. We're loving well, we're working, we are, we rest, we pray, all the things, we experience pleasure, we make babies, we raise children, all the things that human beings are designed by God to do. That's what we're doing when we're fully alive in Irenaeus's mind. I'm not asking you to be Christians. I'm just trying to help you think about the way pre-modern folks thought about this stuff. Let me give you one more example. And it's an example that comes from the 16th, or actually the 17th century. And it is from a group of, again, Christians called the Westminster Divines. This is really weird. Westminster, go ahead.
Just so you know, you're messaging me privately. I don't think anyone else can see the messages.
Thank you, Tara Martin.
You're welcome.
I only did that once though. Oh no. Oh, okay.
No, it was for all of them.
Thanks. Okay, so the glory of God is the human being fully alive. That needs to go to everyone. Okay, can y'all see that?
That's all right. I did the same thing.
Can y'all see that in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah.
And that's one example of how to think about a human being like an oak tree. Okay. because Sarah, I like what you said shows that you're thinking. But these pre-modern thinkers, everyone from Aristotle to Augustine to Thomas Aquinas, they would all say that if that what a human, it's not enough for a human being's body to be mature. A human being's soul also must be mature. And so that's why Aristotle is going to talk about things like virtue. Virtue.
Where would they put like philosophy in itself on the spectrum, just like right in the middle?
Jagger, that's a great question, but hang on, I got to say two things. Y'all,
Oh, yeah,
first off, I'm going to say a few things about virtue, and then I'm going to come back to the Westminster Divines that I put in the chat. I want to tell you what the 7 classical virtues are, okay? There's 4 cardinal virtues. I'm putting this in the chat. And 3 theological virtues, okay? Now, the 4 cardinal virtues are courage, moderation, prudence, and justice. Those are the 4 cardinal virtues. The word cardinal is a Latin word that means hinge, like the hinge of a door, right? Like the hinge of a door. Yeah. The 3 theological virtues are faith, hope, and love. And obviously those are more Christian. But those are the 7 virtues. And let's say that you're an atheist and you hate talking about Christianity, no problem. Just think about the 4 cardinal virtues of Aristotle. Aristotle would say that if you want to be like the oak tree and fully alive, fully actualized, it's not enough for your body to grow. Your soul must also grow so that you can embrace and embody and live the 4 cardinal virtues of courage, moderation, prudence, and justice, okay? Now, I want to say one more thing, and that is another analogy. It's kind of like the Saint Irenaeus quote about the glory of God as the human being fully alive. And this comes from a group of 17th century theologians called the Westminster Divines. And they asked a question and then answered it. The question is, and I'm going to write these down, what is the chief end of man? You see that? That's the question. What is the chief end of man? What does the word end mean? It means purpose. What is the main purpose of the human being, right? Now, what's the Greek word for purpose? I already told you up here.
Telos.
Telos. Yeah, and that's the same as end. Telos is end, goal, G-O-A-L, or purpose. And the Westminster Divines are asking, what is the chief end of man? What is the main purpose, the telos, the goal of being human? And the answer that they said is to glorify God and to enjoy God forever. See, according to these people, if you are glorifying God and enjoying God forever, whatever that means, if you're doing that, you're like the oak tree. You're fully alive. You are doing the thing that you are made to do. Just like the oak tree, whenever it's doing photosynthesis and putting down roots, providing shade for people to have a picnic under, etc., 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 etc. Are you with me? Now, y'all, those are just some analogies and examples. If you like, what I want you to do is to draw a picture, if you can, of an oak tree over here by prime matter. Sorry, an acorn over here by prime matter. Why? Because it's 100% potential. And then over here, you draw an oak tree. Why? Because it's 100% actualized. Are you with me? But that's just an analogy, okay? It's an analogy. Now I want to go back to Jagger's question about what is Aristotle's equivalent of Plato's realm of becoming? And what was my answer? You could say potency, you could say potentiality, you could say potential being. And y'all, listen to what I'm about to say. See right here, it says matter, prime matter or matter. What Aristotle thinks is that matter, I'm going to put it like this. It's a principle of potential. I'm going to write that in the chat. Matter is a principle of potential, or it is the principle. You could say matter is the essence of potential. By the way, raise your hand if you've ever like taken a physics class and you heard about potential energy. What is the opposite of potential energy? Kinetic energy. Kinetic energy would be on the side of pure form. Potential energy would be on the side of prime matter. And by the way, guess what the word for potency is? In Aristotle's Greek, it's dunamis. What does that sound like? Dynamite. That's like potential energy. It's like gasoline that hasn't been used yet, or food that has not yet been assimilated into your body. By the way, St. Paul uses the word dunamis a lot in his letters in the New Testament to mean power. But
Okay.
it's power that is potential.
So he's saying that whatever's on the prime matter has potential to make something. Is that what he's saying? Like,
Yes. And you know what that is? Matter. Matter.
So you're
So
saying,
think about it like this. Can I say one thing?
Baby analogy, right? So the baby has the potential of being an adult to become fully actualized.
Yes, that's right. And Sarah, he would say, I mean, I'm simplifying a lot to try to help you wrap your minds around it. But he would say that a fully actualized human being with a mature, strong, healthy body, like a 30-year-old, who also has virtue, he would say that that person has realized her form more than the little baby has. Yeah. And also more than an embryo.
So matter is anything that can be useful for another thing, no?
So don't jump to conclusions like that. Let me put it like this. Prime matter is the material out of which everything in the world is made.
Mm-hmm.
Except for God. Is God in the world? Not sure how to answer that. It's a complicated question. I'm not going to answer that right now, but matter is that out of which everything in the world is made. And think about it like this. Think about a dirt clod. Can you see how or think about a blob of sand? Can you see how a blob of sand can be made into a sandcastle? Or think about a block of wood. Can you see how a block of wood can be made into a table or a chair? Which has more form, a block of wood or a table?
Table.
That's right. The wood is a potential table. A block of marble is a potential sculpture. Sculpture, right? The block of marble is that out of which the sculptor creates a beautiful statue. The block of marble is the potential David. Like if you've ever seen the famous statue of David. Okay? So matter is potential, and it goes along in Aristotle's imagination with potential being. Now, Jagger, that is what is the equivalent of Plato's realm of becoming. You could say that everything on the spectrum between prime matter and pure form is the equivalent of Plato's realm of becoming, because it's all an admixture of matter and form. It all has potential being, matter, and pure actuality or actualized being, form. But potential being is Aristotle's invention to respond to Parmenides in the same way that Plato does with his notion of becoming. So in other words, Plato looks at Parmenides and is like, yo, Parmenides, you're awesome, but I need to account for the stuff in the world that you say are illusions, like my wife. And I'm going to do that by talking about the realm of becoming. That's Plato. Aristotle does the same thing. He looks at Parmenides and like, Parmenides, you're awesome. Your concept of being is badass, and I want to hold on to it. And oh, by the way, it's God. But I also have to account for the things of this world that you say are illusions, like doggies, kitty cats, and my wife. And the way I'm going to do that is by inventing this notion of potential being. Potential being. Because potential being is both full being, the thing that Parmenides talks about, and non-being, whack a non-being. Because you see, the table is not, sorry, the block of wood is not a table. Put it a different way, the block of wood is not yet a table. That's non-being. See, in that sense, the block of wood is not perfect yet. It's not perfect until it becomes a table. The acorn is not perfect until it becomes an acorn, an oak tree. The acorn still has a lot of potential. It still has a lot of growing up to do. And that growing up is non-being. That's the thing that Parmenides says, whack a non-being. All right? Now, y'all, I've said a lot. Maybe this is the most difficult lecture we've had so far. Give me a thumbs up if I'm kind of sort of making sense. Give me a thumbs down if you're completely screwed. Oh, Senya, guess what? I have good news for you. I am going to give you 3 extra credit points on your class participation grade for being honest.
I was gonna say, do you want to do a sideways thumb for so?
You rock, Senia, you rock. So good job. I really appreciate that. Now, y'all, I think most of y'all are with me. Senia, keep coming back. It's gonna be okay. Senia, one thing I would recommend for you is just kind of like memorize the spectrum. But y'all, I need to do one thing. And Senia, by the way, I would love, if you'd love to have like a Zoom chat session, I can do that, okay? Or you can email me or whatever. But y'all, I wanna move to the last topic of today, and that is this stuff right here. What did I say this was?
Numbers and shape.
Shapes.
That's right. Number/shape. Right. Now, it's kind of sort of the opposite of what? The 4 elements. Because the 4 elements are what?
Shapeless.
Okay. I need someone to talk to me about the 4 elements in terms of matter and form.
It's more matter than the shapes and numbers.
Well, it's more, okay, hang on. Good. Sarah, let's put it like this. The four elements are more matter than they are form. Now, y'all, the numbers are the very opposite. They're more form than they are matter.
Math is so amazing.
What'd you say, Rachel?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said that's why math is so amazing. Math is either is something or it is not something. There's a bunch of different ways to get this one answer. However, there's only that one answer. It's not anything other than what that is.
I like it.
As
I like it.
Specificity is what it
Specificity.
has. It's like, yes, that's the word. That's what math is. It's, you know, it's very black and white. There's no gray area in it. You know, and that's, you know, where you get to where the pure form stuff.
Okay,
say,
y'all.
statistics isn't that way.
That's
Statistics
right.
is going to be more because it can be anything. Statistics can get pulled from any way. They say that I think like 83% of statistics are made up literally on the spot. You know, like you can go to a variety of different places and get different things from all that. So
Good stuff. Come back to me if you don't mind. I want to refocus us on Aristotle's metaphysical spectrum. What I'm trying to say to you right now is that numbers and shapes are the opposite of prime matter. Why? Prime matter is mostly form and mostly matter and a little bit of form. Numbers are the opposite. They're, how can I say it? They are much closer to being pure form and much further away from being prime matter. How so? It's different from the four elements. So remember how I told you last class or the class before that like everything in the world is a composite unity of form and matter, right? The cup, the iPhone, the magnolia tree, everything in the world is a composite unity of these two things. And by the way, the two things are the extremes on the spectrum, right? Form and matter. Everything in the world is a combination of those two things. Now, is that true for the four elements? Yes or no? Yes, it is. It's just that the four elements have kind of a low grade form. Sand / dirt does not have nearly as much form as a sandcastle does. Wood does not have nearly as much form as a table does. That's the four elements. But for numbers, the numbers are sort of the opposite, but they're opposite in a different way. What do I mean? Here's what I mean. There's something crazy about shapes and numbers. And y'all, for now, I'm just going to talk about shapes. So think with me about shapes: circles, squares, triangles. Here's what's crazy and unique about shapes, okay? Now, side note, sense perception is very important in philosophy. You know, in my intro class, there's certain themes that I try to hammer down into your brains. One of them is language, the way we use terms. But another one is sense perception, seeing, hearing, touching, okay? And here's the thing about shapes. Every single shape you've ever seen, circles, triangles, every single shape you've ever seen is composed of matter. Maybe you've seen a wooden triangle. Maybe you've seen a circle made out of gold. Maybe it's just chalk. If I had a chalkboard behind me, I could draw a circle. Well, that's a circle that's made out of matter, chalk. If I draw a triangle on paper, maybe that's made out of graphite. graphite. Maybe it's pixels on a computer screen. But in every case, what we're talking about is matter, okay? So let me repeat. Every single shape you've ever seen is made out of matter. And I would say that, like, if someone, like, let's say that there's a female in my class who could show me a gold earring right now, I would point to that gold earring and say, that gold earring is form and matter, both. It's form and matter, both. In fact, you might even say that it's right in the middle. I don't know. I don't want to get carried away. It's form and matter, both. But if you look up the definition of a circle in what I'm going to call a philosophically airtight dictionary. Have I ever talked about philosophically airtight dictionaries in this class yet? Okay.
No.
Hang with me. Y'all, I had this dictionary when I was in high school. It's like 30 years old, I think. Yeah, it's awesome, by the way. So this is a real live dictionary. I love it. And I want you to imagine that it's like completely perfect. This is what I call a philosophically airtight dictionary, all right? It's scientifically infinitesimally accurate. Are you with me so far? And if you were to look up the definition of a circle in the philosophically airtight dictionary, is it, and you read the definition, do you think that the definition is going to talk about wood? Is the definition of circle, is it going to talk about gold or graphite? No. You know what it's going to talk about? It's going to talk about points. P-O-I-N-T-S, points. Now, are points composed of matter, yes or no? No, they're not.
Depends on where the
Points are not composed of matter. Points are abstract entities in our minds. See, shapes in their essence, in other words, by definition, they're not material. If you look up the definition of a line in the dictionary, it's not the philosophically airtight dictionary. It's not going to talk about rocks or stones or hair follicles or hydrogen atoms. No, it's going to talk about points. So you see, every single shape you've ever seen in your life is made out of matter. However, in their essence, shapes are immaterial. In their essence, shapes are pure form. Are you with me?
So if a circle or actually a line or any shape is made out of points, then point is even closer to pure form in that line.
Yeah, you mean closer to pure form?
Yes, closer
Yeah,
to pure form.
I like that. I like that. I like that. But the point for now is, can you see why shapes are closer to pure form? They're almost pure form. Why? Because they are pure form in their definition, in their essence. Again, if you look up the definition of a triangle in a philosophically airtight dictionary, you're not going to find any talk about bones or skin or minerals or dirt. No. You're not going to read about matter at all. It's going to talk about points. If it's a triangle, it's going to talk about angles. It's going to talk about lines, but none of those are made out of matter. So why don't we just put numbers all the way over? I'll tell you why. It's because every single shape you've ever seen is material. In other words, you can see them. That's what's crazy about numbers. Aristotle would say you cannot see God, period. period, paragraph, over and out. You cannot see God. But with shapes, the crazy thing is that you can see them. But every time you see them, they're made out of matter. Gold, graphite, etc. Now, y'all, that is why numbers are almost pure form, but not quite. Why not quite? Because you can see them, and every time you see them, they're made out of matter. That's why. So the four elements are almost prime matter. They're a little bit form and a lot of matter. Numbers, shapes, triangles are the opposite. It's kind of like they're pure form, but oh, there's also this other little reality that you can see them. And so in that sense, they're material.
Is there anything that would sit right in the middle between the two, like not on the side of prime matter and not on the side of pure form that would,
Yeah, you know,
but what would that be?
good question. That might be a great paper topic, Sierra. I don't know. We could speculate. Does anyone have any ideas? Sarah, what do you think?
To be honest with you, I'm kind of like not confused, but just not grasping like, okay, so why didn't
So
circles
Sarah,
and
watch the
shapes be-
YouTube video.
okay, why doesn't like circle and shapes and stuff be like in the middle of it? Because like half of it's saying you can see it made out of matter, and the other one, like the definition is they are more form than they are
Yeah,
that.
you know what? That might be a way of thinking about it. Look, I am not an infallible philosophy professor, and in fact, there are no infallible ways to think about this stuff. But yeah, maybe Rachel's gold earring would be right in the middle of the spectrum. Or maybe, remember, the oak tree is just an analogy, right? It's just an analogy. In real life, oak trees are still made of matter.
Right.
And so they're not like they're not pure form. That's just an analogy, okay? Maybe you could say that a saint like Saint Francis is right in the middle. He's this perfect balance between matter, because does Saint Francis have a body? Yes. But is he form? Yes, because he has a soul. For human beings, the form of the human being is the soul. Do you remember how at the beginning of class I said that I have a whole lot more I could say about Aristotle? There's whole dimensions that I haven't even talked about, and this is one of them. Aristotle would say that the form of the human being is the rational soul. And so maybe the saint is like this perfect balance or harmony of form, that's the soul, and matter, that's the body. I don't know. Maybe that would be a great paper topic, Sierra. That would be super awesome. Y'all, I've got 5:01. Happy spring break to you guys. You've had 2 quizzes. Your paper due date is delayed a week, or actually 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 1 week because of the snowpocalypse, and then 2 weeks because of spring break. So yeah, does anyone have any questions, comments for me at the moment?
Can I talk to you whenever like everyone leaves? Is that okay?
Who's talking right now?
Tara.
So Tara, yes, but I don't think we should do it on this Zoom meeting because it'll be
That's fine.
recorded on YouTube.
That's fine. That's fine.
So can you call me?
Yeah. Hold on just a second. Let me write what's your phone number? Is it on the syllabus?
It is on the syllabus.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, just call me and we can talk. All right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. Have a wonderful spring break. Stay in touch. Yes, Rachel.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
Are you good?
Yeah, I just want to touch base at some point the next couple days about my paper and stuff as well. if
Great.
That's okay. 'cause I have a couple
Absolutely.
questions.
Absolutely. Send me a text and I will, that would be awesome.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank
y'all.
you.
May the force be with you.
And also
And
with
also
you.
with
With you.
Have a great spring break. I'll see you in a couple